This is off air live. There we go.
So, no, we're online now. Hello, everyone. Lovely.
How's it going?
The moment I go online, the voice crashes. Okay, so hello, everyone. We have Seekie here. We have Shifty here. We will have a lot of fun talking about UFO and crazy stuff today. Yay!
I love the odd topics, the not so common things.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be objective about it as much as I can, but you know, the internet, it's a crazy place. There's a lot of fake stuff and there's a lot of real stuff.
How do you try to be objective?
Well, you know, you have to look at the best videos. So I set up a criteria and I say, like, I remember like Thunderfoot had a video about the SpaceX rocket launching and then it exploded and people claimed there was a UFO zipping by, but it ended up being a bird most likely. And to me, that's not an important video. Okay, because that was like 10 seconds. I could care less. So I'm just going to filter that out and move on to a video that's a little better, that has at least 12 seconds. So you have to have criteria as well.
If someone has like 1 hour of UFO, if someone has, sorry, I totally cut you off. If someone has an hour long UFO video, then you would say that's not likely to be fake.
It depends then on the context now. So now it depends, is there trees in the area? Can we see some visual references? Does the person have a certain tone? Is it sarcastic? What do commenters say? Does someone say, oh, I know this person, he's faking, and here's his Facebook account, or something like that? So you have to kind of dig down into the person as well. So there's other factors in the criteria of filtering out videos.
So you're you take into account sort of personal credibility or reputation of the producers, is what you're saying?
Definitely. Most MUFON investigators, they say it's pretty much 50% is the witness and the rest is the video itself, because you can't just go by the video alone because there's so many, you know, people can manipulate it. So you have to, but if you know enough context, then you can say enough that, well, this person doesn't look like they have much After Effects skills, so maybe they didn't use After Effects. This person, maybe is there masking in it? Did they enhance the video? They try to look for those clues.
Can I point out something though? As I said in the other video, you had this fake video, the one where everyone thought it's fake, or you know, it was because it was like college students and everything. And then you had this 2011 one. The 2011 one is so much shorter than the fake one. So why is length important?
Well, length's a factor, but you can bounce that out with other context. So if there were 4 videos, which there were, and you can verify the dates on those and actually contact those original YouTubers. So there are 4 angles. That's the big thing. And at the same time, there's another little bit in the video where these little red orbs were up in the sky that no one else really caught except for the original YouTuber who said, yeah, there's actually something else in the video. And he's from Jerusalem. And you know, Fox News, I think they put up a re-edited version because these get like recycled so many times. People just re-upload them. Maybe there's probably dozens of versions of them that have been re-uploaded. So the quality gets bad and you have to find the original person. So so the Dome of the Rock one I don't think there was masking in that, because when you look at the original one, it's a lot more clear.
The thing is, you say you don't think there is masking in it. Okay.
And because he was taking that video and he kind of put that green, you know, blob, and he was enhancing it a little bit. But is that really showing there's masking, or is that just due to alteration of the lighting and the surrounding context of the, you know, of the landscape and the camera quality too? There's so many factors.
Yeah. So Pokemon says call Captain Disillusion. We have to call Captain Disillusion on this one. Did he make a video about this?
I sent him the original video, not my video. That maybe he'll take a look at that more closely and then contact that YouTuber.
You know, I'm just thinking about this from sort of like my technical perspective. So I don't know a lot about video editing, but image manipulation I do. So
same here. I'm more on like Photoshop.
Yeah. Okay. So then you're probably aware that you can use image error level analysis to do any type of
yeah, I think so. Could you explain that again?
Sure. So basically what it does is it's a way of computing the sort of consistency of pixelation in an image to look for inconsistencies or sort of abnormalities.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you don't have to rely on the human eye to try and judge if something's been manipulated or not, or even just your interpretation, like these shadows don't match or something like that. It actually just looks at the bit level and you can tell. I mean, it's just, there's tools you can get. It'll tell you if it's been manipulated in certain areas. So I'm just
I thought there was some software tool that you can put an image in, and I forgot the name of it, but I'm not really aware of how to do that stuff. I use Photoshop, but
yeah, there's a few of them. It's just error level analysis. But I'm just wondering if that exists for something like video, because I don't know. Because that would be pretty useful, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I've talked to some MUFON investigators, and I don't know, they don't really focus too much on the videos, the evidence, as like they focus more on figuring out if the person is lying first, their psychology, and then they look at the video. And when they look at it, they have to go to experts sometimes, and they'll send it to someone who's a videographer or someone who can analyze videos, because the investigator themselves, they don't always have that skill set. So someone else is gonna you need a third party.
Right. I guess, and the only other thought I had so far, just listening to you, is so I understand the importance of, maybe looking at the track record of the person who's producing what they claim as evidence. But I'm wondering if it could be similar to, in epistemology, theory of knowledge and philosophy, there's this condition called the Gettier problem. And it's basically, do you know something if you just happen to get it right? Like you don't, the methods you used or whatever, it's not a justified true belief, but you could still get it right by chance. So like, let's say I don't have a good reason to think a public clock says it's, I don't know, 12:15 p.m. or something. But it just happens to be that time and the clock's dead, but I don't know it. I could still be right. So I'm wondering if that could be a factor too, like when it comes to assessing the person's character. So sure, maybe they've been shady in the past or something like that, or even this time that they're, you're looking at it, they could be, on the deceptive level, but they could still be right unknowingly. So maybe that's
I don't know. When it comes to YouTube, you have to look at the YouTuber's channel and then see what they're looking at, and if they have depends if if they have it blocked or not. Like if they have their liked videos, what are they looking at? And if they're really into UFOs, and then all of a sudden they post the UFO video, yeah, I don't know. But then you also have to kind of see how they comment to you. So I try to ask questions to them and then see if they're even willing to reply.
The thing we're getting here is you basically say, okay, I want to figure out if a person's lying to me or not, right? That's about all that you say, do whatever right now. And the thing that gets me confused about this is, the person doesn't even have to lie. The person doesn't have to lie. The person can see things that aren't actually there, where you are, in the situation where this person has absolutely no ability to tell right from wrong because of whatever. I mean, I had once this woman who told me she believes in afterlife and reincarnation and God and all of that because she smoked weed and then she saw angels. And I'm thinking by myself, she genuinely saw angels, I'm pretty sure, but I cannot really take her, seriously because I know that she took, altering substances. So, the thing is, you cannot see in the video what the state of the people was, how the people, and partially even...
Well, it doesn't matter what the state was. It's what's in the video.
You could take a video, right, that has absolutely no commentary to it. Put commentary underneath it, drag it into your video editor, say something weird about it, upload that on a completely new channel, and then see how it goes. I mean, that is something people do very often. And when you have that then, where the person is utterly unknown, that doesn't mean the person is really unknown. It simply means that that person is unknown to you because, it's not like in YouTube you have to always put down your tax information or some shit. It's not like you can track that person down.
Well, when I look at, if I find a video like of something I call USN and I compare two videos, one of the channels, it has 2 videos on it. One is the USN and one is just some random video about cars. That's not enough for me. So I'm not gonna. But if I find another one and they have like one USN video and then dozens of videos about cars and their hobby, and then they've been on the internet for a long time, I'm gonna weigh that person more than the other person. And I look at the date when they uploaded and all that. So you have to compare which one is the better one and weigh it. And there's so many out there, so it's not really that hard.
Yeah, but
You
like
just
the
filter them out.
thing that really gets to me, is, with all this fake stuff, and the thing is, you don't even know the people who have all these car thingies there, and then they're suddenly like, hey, look what a cool video, and then they upload a weird video, and you see this video, and you're like, that video was on another person's channel as well. How do you check that then?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to see, you see if that video has been re-uploaded. Yeah, definitely. When you try to contact the person, that's the main thing, is then seeing, are they even willing to talk to you? If they're not even willing to talk to you, if they're not like, they don't have this passion of trying to get their experience out like I am, then I'm not going to bother with them. Like, they don't care. It's probably just a joke to them.
When someone has the passion, then it's more likely that the video is real. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to be honest, if they have passion, they sincerely keep saying, yes, this is real. I've experienced it and all that, and they're willing to spend hours researching and upload videos. I'm going to put a little more weight on them that they're probably telling the truth, whereas someone is just kind of joking, say, hey, dude, look at that UFO out there, and just joking around. And I don't know. It's just, you have to judge the person.
I would highly doubt that.
I'm kind of thinking and this is
like Millibird.
This is
okay.
What you were saying earlier, maybe. But so I'm thinking again with epistemology and philosophy of mind. So people believe things all the time, like they're convinced, but they're still wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're going off of someone's reputation or just some type of way of looking at their conviction of their sincerity and what they're saying, they're being sincere in the sense that they are personally convinced that what they saw is true. And the claims they're making are true, but they could still be wrong. You see,
it's very. I agree. Like, there's something that's true, but other details may be wrong in their claim. There's a lot of people who have UFO experience. They exaggerate, but still there was something that truly motivated them, and that they're not sure what they experienced, but they kind of want to get attention by History Channel or whatever.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking like you have.
Can I point out a not quite that related, but somewhat related topic? Think about Amos Yee, okay? That guy is, I would say, nearly a hyper-professional troll. He trolls everyone, and he will say shit to get you pissed off.
Amos?
Yeah, that's his job. That's what he considers his job. He goes so far that he gets himself kicked out. So, he's really, really into it. He's genuinely really into it. Now, if he comes along and says, stuff about pedophilia, the vast majority of people will not see the troll. They will see, oh my God, this person is crazy. Okay? And
yeah, from first.
And he is able to get people into this, people genuinely believing in it, who have a very, very good, I would say radar, where they can figure out whether or not something is good and something is bad, whether or not, someone is genuine or someone is not. And yet he managed to fool them pretty easily. And I think if he is able to fool you that easily as a person, then all those people who talk about UFO and they don't talk, they type, they text, they write. How could you possibly believe that they are 100% honest 100% of the time, even though they say exactly what you want them to say, in order for you to believe that they're, honest?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Amos was he trolling like about Islam and all that? Because I think he sincerely does believe, like, he doesn't like the idea of Islam. I mean, so that's why he made that video.
No. He was talking about pedophilia, not Islam.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. I didn't see the whole. Wasn't he on was it Joe Rogan show or?
No idea. It was in several places, and several people replied.
I have to look back on that.
And even Logic made a video where he was like, dude, he's trolling and he's an idiot, and I don't want to have to do anything with him because now he's in the US, he can say whatever he wants. It's not like back in the days where he was locked up for saying things that people didn't like.
Yeah, he was living in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Amos is an interesting case, but I think
like,
he's sincerely
what I'm trying to get at is, now you have this person and he's perfectly capable of getting people to believe that he's genuine. Now,
genuine of what?
With what he says, you know, with this whole pedophilia stuff. So he is genuine about that, is what he makes people believe. And then, you know, if people get that easily, you know, caught into this, is it not very likely that they also get easily caught into other things? Like, for example, if someone says genuinely, yeah, I saw this UFO and whatever, and he's very careful about what he does with the, you know, like you, for example, say there are people who are very into UFO videos, right? And you will take them more seriously than other people. And I'm thinking by myself, well, first of all, they have already a confirmation bias because they're into UFO videos. They want it to be true. And then secondly, if those people are good at manipulating other people, then them telling you whether or not it's true doesn't help you figuring it out.
It's not that they want to believe it. In most cases, actually, I've talked to YouTubers, it's that they personally experience it, and that's what motivated them to start a channel, like my channel. It's the only reason I have this channel is because I personally experienced this weird stuff, and I want to try to expose it and research it. So, I mean, yeah, in some cases, sure, but you just filter those YouTubers out. You figure out how much is it just about entertainment and clicks and stuff, and they're not really having any integrity. You try to, you know, don't pay attention to them.
What about,
but there's some YouTubers like Darren Krapel. He's had some pretty strange experiences, poltergeist possibly, but he's very confused whether he had a poltergeist experience or he also saw the UFO a year before that, and he had this experience that motivated him. He was a news station reporter in Canada, and he set up a channel, and he just tries to be objective about it. He just presents people's stuff that's reported on MUFON, but something is motivating him. It's not just because he wants to believe, it's because he personally experienced something that got him curious, and now he wants to research it.
I'm wondering if there's like, so maybe, I don't know, I'm very skeptical of this whole examining someone's character thing, because another thing you could have going on is, what if it's a case of like the boy who cried wolf? So what if it's someone that, you know, has been fabricating things or doesn't have a very good reputation for confirmation of whatever type of evidence they present, and then they find something legitimate? No one will believe them. Like, you would just dismiss them out of hand because...
Yeah, that could happen.
So I don't know if I personally would do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I understand, but there's some specific YouTubers that I trust more than others. And because I've, you know, talked to them and I've looked at their channels, I compare it to my experience, I compare it to other people's YouTube channels that don't go viral. And then I say, well, maybe they sincerely believe something.
Or maybe they just had bad luck and tried to get it viral and it didn't work. I have a different question, because Seekie, you said in I don't know exactly if in a video or in a hangout, but you said that you, or in a chat, that you can summon UFOs.
Yes. Takes a while.
How do you do it?
How did I do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a flashlight. Step one, I got a flashlight, large flashlight. Step two, went out on my porch at night when the stars were out with the moon, because according to some mythologies, there, I guess this idea that the star beings or jinn or UFOs, whatever you want to call them, they like to come out at night for some reason. So, and I think that's more to do with the perception of people's eyes.
Wait.
So
you're making an assumption, which is they like to come out at night. Isn't it more likely that you see lights at night more than if you see lights in the day? Because it's more brighter during the day.
I choose the night because it's more likely that they will appear, because there's less reference points with clouds, and during the daytime, if they're below the cloud level, you got a good sense of it. But if they're in the night sky with stars, it's harder to tell if it's just a satellite or a UFO. So I think they're more willing to appear because they're able to kind of hide amongst the stars. But now you give them again
agency. Even if we assume that every video you ever saw is true, that doesn't mean they have agency. You cannot give them agency.
There is a behavior. There definitely is. Almost every MUFON investigator will say it's intelligent.
You cannot assume something like that. It just doesn't work, mate.
So I'm trying to remember from the last time you were talking about this. Am I correct in saying that it's sort of like pattern based? Like what?
Yes, there's definitely a pattern.
Okay, so,
They have a behavior. I have no other way to describe it. Like, go ahead.
so what I'm wondering is, there's all kinds of, pattern-based events in nature that doesn't have, like Issa was saying, that doesn't mean there's agency behind it. So like that's how we can predict things, for example, in science. So
Well, yeah, in general, but I'm saying the pattern is, for example, I see an object that looks like a satellite that's moving by, it's thin, but all of a sudden it's flaring up in intensity. And I'm thinking, okay, is that because the way the satellite moved and now the sun's reflecting off of it? But then when I see it 3 times doing the same thing and coming from a different direction at me within about a 10-minute period, that's when I'm like, okay, something is trying to get my attention. That is not a normal satellite. I mean, there's just some basic common sense, and I can verify by going to ISS tracker to verify if that was a space station, and the space station only goes one direction pretty much, and it's always white, and it dims down, doesn't just flare up and then dim back down, flare up and dim back down. So the pattern is different. Satellites are very consistent, and you can try to use that consistency to see if there's any abnormality to other things in the sky.
Okay, and just so I'm clear on your stance, do you think that these things do not want to be found, or we're just bad at it?
They are intentionally playing a game, I think. Yes. I mean, I'm saying that based on my personal experience, but also, what others have claiming that is sneaky. They're playing this hiding game.
I have to say, I find this very, this not that credulous, because like if I, for example, sit in a car and I drive behind some guy and I try to find a house, and this guy's like, he wants to park, but I'm constantly behind his back, and he's like, this person just wants to piss me off. That is his impression. That doesn't mean it's actually true.
When you have thousands of cases, he says, you have to come to some consensus, some kind of conclusion until more evidence rises. Then you can change that conclusion.
And there is one more thing. Reverend JR just pointed out. By the way, JR, if you want to jump in, just tell me. You say they don't want to be found. Then why on earth do you find them?
I didn't say that.
Then what?
They do want to be found. They
want to be found.
I said they're appearing strategically to certain people.
Why can't you record them properly? Why can't you study them? Can't you invite them to a tea? Be like, hey, by the way, I have tea over here. Come have a seat.
They probably have a bigger agenda than we could ever imagine. I mean,
but you assume so many things, man.
But we know they're okay. For example, most people say, "Oh, UFOs are ETs." Okay, well, why would I assume that if 99% of the time all cases are in the sky? So they're always in the sky. So why would they actually be extraterrestrial? They're not coming down to Earth, so they don't need our planet. They're not invading. So something doesn't fit there.
It's not said that if they don't invade now, that they don't invade later. I mean, how can you really discard that?
There's been over 3 billion years on this planet that could have taken over, but I don't know.
Are you saying that logic is not a reptile? Don't you see it? He's a bloody reptile. You take off his mask, he turns green. He goes away in the green screen. He vanishes.
I don't know. I would really recommend reading some of the books by Jacques Vallée. I mean, he was really challenging the ET extraterrestrial hypothesis and how it was it didn't logically fit to the video evidence and testimonies and claims. And he was saying how it fits to some of the mythologies and correlations of pop culture. And he was saying that there's something psychological in the behavior of the phenomenon. And he thinks that that's
have a psychological issue with it, yeah. But that's
not it's not just the person, it's the whole collective. There's something affecting the collective of society. And that's what he calls this, the UFO phenomenon or something paranormal.
This to me sounds a lot like meme theory. And I don't mean internet stuff, I mean the actual
meme theory, yeah.
Cultural. So in the same way that some kind of cultural practice propagates through a population on its own, really. I mean, without too much intent. It sounds a lot like that to me. That could easily be the explanation for that.
Well, yeah, people can put a cultural aspect to a phenomenon. For example, the author who wrote the Peter Pan story of Tinkerbell was not a female. It was just a ball of light. And he said, the author saying that came from legends of Will of the Wisp. But then Walt Disney came around. He said, oh, no, let's make it cute. Let's make it a female and put wings on it and anthropomorphize it. So, yes, people put some artistic renderings on it, but if you peel back that culture, what is left is the original testimony.
Well, actually, so what I'm trying to say though is not so much that like people are altering it in the same way that you would say see in a game of telephone or whatever, but just that that's how. So like you were talking about, this isn't the word you used, but I think you were talking about agreement amongst many people as a way of sort of.
There probably is a lot of disagreement.
So that's what I'm saying is, in the same way that any other idea could be propagated, in the way that any type of mimetic concept could be in a society or a culture, I don't see why that could not be the explanation.
The thing that really gets to me is if you look at the past, we had a lot of people with psychological issues who weren't taken care of because no one knew what psychology is. I mean, people thought that there were, demonic thingies in the air and the air was like evil and stuff. And so that's why, for example, the meat god flies. I mean, they didn't quite have the stuff figured out yet. And so if someone started to, I don't know, see things, it's very easy for the people to have taken it somewhat seriously because, oh no, there's like a demon here and there's like a demon there. I mean, culture aside, it was very easy in the past, especially, to make people believe things that aren't real. And nowadays, I mean, look at how far we are. We still manage to have tons and tons of people, for example, fall for scams, and so I cannot believe that just because all the people say, yeah, this is this way or this is that way, that we can actually take that seriously. That just doesn't compute.
I don't think you can take other analogies and try to compare it to something very specific like UFOs. You're trying to broaden it too much. If you get into details, there is something there that you can't ignore. Every case study
you kind of want there to be something there. You want there to be something there.
Not all these people who had sleep paralysis and all of a sudden some objects moved in their house and all these things. They're claiming that this stuff happened. Poltergeist case stories, some may be fake, but others are more reputable because they had other eyewitnesses who experienced it. And so I don't think you can say that because there are people who personally experience this stuff and it's causing havoc on their life and they don't know what to do. Okay, so like Darren Crapo, for example, I think he said there's something that moved in his house and he's kind of confused about whether he wants to believe in ET sort of, but now he's kind of confused, like, well, now there's something else, another phenomenon I'm observing. So is there a connection between the two? And out there that is messing with people, he said, and you just can't, you sometimes dig down in the details of that person and figure out sincerely then figure out if you can, find video evidence.
Okay, now let's take out with you a bit here. Let's take out with you because you're the person who saw a UFO.
Mm-hmm.
You say you saw a UFO. When did you start with this whole UFO?
When I started my channel, mainly because I first experienced something in 2008 over my Boy Scout camp. Okay. Now I was teaching astronomy class for a merit badge, and I thought, oh, let's go taking the kids out and showing them where a space station would be at the time, and then some other satellites, and then all of a sudden we did see something that was pulsating, and it moved the opposite direction that stars would go. Is that a plane? And then I noticed it throughout the camp a few other times. And then when I went back home during the flood of 08 in 2008 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, it appeared again. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. There's something there. And it's the same thing I saw at my Boy Scout camp. So that got me curious. But then I kind of ignored it for a few years. And it appeared. It was a white kind of orb that kind of zipped by really quickly, but it's always been so fast. But then 2015 came along, okay, and that's when I really started to investigate this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of make a YouTube channel, document some videos, and build up my curiosity to investigate. And then I'm like, okay, some people are saying they can summon this stuff, so let's try it. Nothing happened for months, and then I kept doing it on a weekend with a flashlight, like they said, at night. I don't know why at night, but I think it's something to do with that your eyes are just more perceptive at night. And so I flickered my flashlight. I saw a faint flash of light, a white faint flash, and then I thought that was static buildup.
Can I ask you a weird question? Now you say there was a faint flashback. Couldn't it be that someone saw you tinkering with the flashlight and just took out his own flashlight and went, tinkering back? Just curious.
No, because in my neighborhood, in the context of my neighborhood, it's kind of a wooded area, and houses are separated by hundreds of yards.
Maybe
So
someone was having an
and the
outstay
light
sexual
was
intercourse
very
with someone
low.
else, and therefore was outside anyway.
But the light was reflected right off the top of the trees and
But
my
that is
house.
something like do you have a hill up there or something?
What?
A hill.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Do you have a hill behind your house?
Yeah, I'm in a valley.
In a valley, yeah. So there is a hill behind it. How can it not be a car?
Because I can just go look around my house and double check. Because I was out there for hours.
If it is, if you say it is, at the height of a tree, can't it just be like through the tree up the hill?
It responded 3 times. That's what freaked me out. And then I decided to do it again another weekend, and I didn't get anything. But all of a sudden, I heard these loud bangs, and I thought, okay, I'm hearing the cannons being shot off at the park during the 4th of July. I'm also hearing fireworks, but then there's this other sound that sounded closer. And it sounded like a shotgun next to my house, and my neighbors heard it, and they're like, "Oh, it must be someone shooting fireworks," because there were fireworks going on. And I'm like, "Okay, what is causing this noise?" And I kept doing that consistently every 15 or 20 minutes. I did catch the sound once, and I put that on my channel. But then I went on my other porch, and I was growing impatient, and I put my camera back inside the house to get it charged up. I decided to go back out one more time and looked, and then I was looking around, didn't see anything for about 1 minute, and then a gust of wind came. All of a sudden, the air was still the whole time, but then all of a sudden, a gust of wind came, quite strong, and then about 30 seconds later, that's when this red UFO appeared, only about 200 feet away, about the size of a small car, right over the treetops in my over my neighbor's land in the wooded area.
So it was next to a car?
No.
That's not the car.
No, I said it's about the size of a small car, but it was.
How do you know
like
that it was the size of a small car?
Because the red light was so close to the treetops.
But what if it is a dispersed light? What if it's actually smaller?
No, you have to be there to really understand the context of the area. That's the problem. But no, I could see the red light being reflected off the treetops, and it was just right there. So it must have been close enough. And then it was moving slowly until I couldn't see it because the trees were covering it. But then 2 weeks later, it decides to appear to my sister. Now, I didn't tell her about the incident because I really did not want my family to be creeped out about this because they don't like me looking into this.
So wait. Reptoid Kid just pointed out something very interesting. So what you're saying is the aliens controlled the wind?
No, I don't think I'm not gonna assume they're aliens. It was a ball of light, looked like plasma.
What are these weird light bulb thingies, these UFOs? What are they?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Theologians would say.
How can you say they're not aliens?
Because it looked like a ball of plasma.
So what? Do you think they cannot make ball of plasma?
Well, I don't think it was a spaceship. Why would it come to me if I was the one summoning it? Like, why am I important? Like, and it does that to other people.
Sorry, but if you're there with the torchlight giving it signals, maybe the alien is like, holy shit, we forgot someone on Earth, let's go back. I mean, sorry, but on one side, you assume the weirdest things without evidence, and on the other, you discard things that would slightly be more realistic. And it just boggles my mind.
Okay, so you're telling me an advanced alien civilization that has the ability to get here in the first place would still be biological? I don't know about that.
I have to say, just listening to the conversation thus far, that I'm seeing a lot of similarities in religious concepts. So it's largely based off of personal experience and what, secondhand, what other people say.
Yeah, I would agree. Jacques Vallée really talks about how there's some connection between the UFO phenomenon and, I guess, religions. It's like they're affecting that somehow. Yeah. These legends of angels or demons or whatever they are.
I don't mean to say that this specifically is a religion. I'm saying the way people are thinking about it. The biggest to me is instead of, say, stopping with, I don't know, whatever it is that I saw in the sky, it turns into way beyond abduction, just inference to the best explanation. And there's nothing wrong with speculation because that's how you sort of come up with things from scratch, but it seems to be way out of control, and then that's what it's based on. But more so than anything in the discussion, so far we're going over the sort of the possibilities of the details of things.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking in the same way that this has a lot of parallels to religious thinking. So, like, as an atheist, if someone comes to me to try and convince me of their God, and they start rattling off scripture or whatever, some form of holy text, I I stop right there. I will stop them, because until you can do generic theism, the holy books are irrelevant. So I'm thinking the same way here is until
It's
you
a testament.
established like what the core of this is for sure, then you can look in the specifics. But
Well,
working
I mean,
like that
you have to
doesn't.
come up with some assumptions and then work from there to kind of change the assumptions until it's be more and more precise to what it is. And right now I'm saying it's a ball of light that doesn't fit the characteristics of a spaceship.
No, I understand that, but I guess I'm thinking, so like again in the religious analogy. So when you look at something like scripture, it's largely descriptive. So you shouldn't start with that. You should start with the core concept of, say, theism. Can that be established? Okay, now let's see specifically what kind of theism is true or whatever. So I'm
Well,
thinking for this
the
is like,
Bible is a testament. It's a compilation of people's different experiences into some claims, especially the New Testament. Old Testament's hard to verify, but the New Testament it's a compilation of people's experience of some guy, crazy guy named Jesus, claiming he can do these things, and apparently thousands of people witness it. But they didn't have cameras back then, so that's why you have faith. But it's a testament, and I'm presenting a testament.
yeah,
I'm an
Yeah, but
eyewitness.
you don't just have a testament. You don't just say, hey, by the way, there were like, weird flying colory whatever balls around. You go further and you say, yeah, and sometimes it looks like, plasma multimetallic in a vacuum, and sometimes it looks like this. And these are all assumptions that I don't think you have any, reason to actually get to them. You see
Those are
light, you
characteristics I
don't
was
see
just trying to
anything
describe.
else. This is all stuff that you put in that I don't believe you have not even the basics to establish.
I'm
With
not saying
ice
it's
and video
literally
you
metal.
can't, and so why would you?
I'm saying it behaves like, okay, so
Yeah, but
when I
it
see
behaves. The
videos,
fact that something behaves, you give it agency and everything too, which is even weirder, because now we don't just have the fact that you completely discard aliens. You also
I'm not
say
ruling that
it's
out, but I don't
still,
think it fits logically.
well, you kind of do discard it, but okay, let's say you kind of think it's not very realistic, but then you say it is still realistic that it has some agency, and I'm like, how is it realistic that it has agency, but it's not realistic that it's an alien? How do you get to that? I mean,
Aliens would just say specifically, I saw a biological little ET green guy who was anal probing me. Okay, no, this was a ball of light. It was a certain size. It had a certain movement in a certain location. It didn't fit the characteristics of what we give agency to what a UFO is normally. The idea that it's a spacecraft, there's something inside it, and it's moving around, and it just, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but maybe they're extraterrestrial a billion years ago, but now they've evolved to such a high level they don't need a biological state of existence, and they're a ball plasma. I don't know, maybe, but that's a big assumption.
like, why not just stop with the description though? Do you know what I mean? Like, why?
I'm saying there is a behavior. I know there is a behavior because I've personally
That's fine.
experienced,
Saying
like,
okay,
it came more than once to me. Okay, it was targeting me.
I have a weird question.
So I'm just thinking, like, why not, whatever your experience is, like, why not just document the experience, but don't go beyond a descriptive thing? Like, why jump to these sort of cultural things of, like the things
I
you're.
want to find out more. I don't want to just say, "Oh, okay, it's green and just documents," and that's boring. I want to find out more.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is boring. The truth can be boring, but I'm just thinking, like, so for example, why think this is, say, a ship? Just because it's in the sky doesn't mean it's a ship. Things
yeah,
like that.
no, I'm saying it's
Stick to strictly descriptive things.
well. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, all I can say is there definitely seemed to be a behavioral aspect because it appeared more than once to me, and because I'm comparing that with other claims on the internet. And there is video evidence out there Some you have to filter out because there's just not enough context, but others you shouldn't just ignore if there is more context. So, and I'm seeing similarities and correlations. So like this example of in the UK, this guy caught a green orb, and it's clear it's a green orb, and you can kind of tell the distance. And the guy was, he wasn't being over exaggerated. He was saying, well, there's something there. Is it a flare? And they're talking to themselves and trying to figure out what it was. But they videoed something that they thought was way out of place. It was abnormal.
Okay,
And
they stopped there. That was my question.
I'm sorry?
But they stopped that. That's all they said about it. It's a green.
They said it was a UFO.
Well, how's that? Yeah, well, yeah, it's unidentified, but that's what they said. They didn't say, yeah, it's a demon. Yeah, it's a whatever. It's an angel. It's a flying monkey. They didn't say anything.
Well, no, they didn't say that in the video. But I mean, I think in the UK, a lot of people call them Willow of the Wisp. It's kind of a cultural thing. And when you look in the origins of those stories, it's always a ball of light. And the same phenomenon or same legends fit to Islamic traditions of these jinn. They call them smokeless fire. But other texts in the Hadiths and Quran, they describe them as beings of light. And if you compare that with the Hebrew Bible, and Hebrew text, the Torah, they also describe this idea of these fiery beings. They're giving characteristics. They want to call it fire or some kind of smokeless fire or these orbs of light, but there's something very consistent in every culture.
But
I study anthropology, so that's why I look at it.
Whatever these orbs are, even if we assume, like super real, super whatever, they're still orbs. There's nothing more to them. They're still orbs. Nothing else that we know is no.
You know what color, you know what size maybe, you know that they appeared in a certain location and they're doing that to other people.
But
so there must be a behavior.
Why assign agency, like Issa's has been saying? Like, why not just think that it's something natural that we have yet to stumble across, for example?
Well, yeah, supernatural is part of the natural world. I think it was G.K. Chesterton said something like, the only thing, the only thing without the supernatural, all you're left is with the unnatural. Right. We are part of the supernatural. We just don't perceive it that way.
I'm not so much hung up on the classification of it. I'm just wondering, why not think it's doesn't even have sentience? I mean, what if it's just some kind of phenomenon we're unaware of?
There seems to be enough cases again to say that there's some kind of behavior to it.
How do you decide whether or not it's behavior? How do you decide whether or not it's behavior?
Yeah,
it seems intelligent. It has some intelligence.
No, but it seems and it is a different thing.
Okay, I'm saying it is intelligent.
A dolphin seems like a fish, but it's so not, though,
I'm not talking about dolphins. You
but
like to compare things.
Seeming is not. Yeah, but I'm making examples. I'm not telling you that you have to take it one-on-one. I'm making examples. But seeming and being is different. Like a person can seem like he or she's following you, but it could be that this person is not following you at all. It could be that this person is just looking for something or someone, and then you would have given this person basically some sort of you would have given this person agency, or not agency, how should I say this? Intent. Here, you have given this person intent that this person did not have. And that's the same thing as with this orbs. Like, how can you say that this orb has a certain intent if you have no idea about this orb?
Right. Can I make a personal example real quick?
Yeah.
So when I was much younger, some friends and I were leaving a movie theater at night. And we were driving, and we noticed that this car had been following us for a while. And after a while, it started to get very close to us. And it was very clearly following us. So we started to panic, thinking it was someone messing with us, because it wasn't the greatest part of town. And for a good 5-10 minutes, we basically tried to outrun this car, and it turned out to be a cop. So that entire time, we read into that situation, through our assumptions.
But it was following you.
Right, but we misperceived
its
identity or its intent. We thought the intent was, hey, we're going to, roll up on you and jack you or whatever. And it wasn't. It was an officer wondering what the hell we were doing as a bunch of kids out so late in this area.
But the main intent is follow, though. It was following you.
Right, but that's exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, we thought that the intent of them, we misperceived the intent, is my point. And I think what he's saying.
Yeah, I can see that. But the main intent, though, there's more than one intent. So you thought that it was following you.
Yeah, but that, even if you take away that, because this is a very particular specific example. If you have, because I just before said, what if someone was looking for a parking spot and happened to follow you, and you are going around the block to get rid of him, and the person is driving around the block to find a parking space, and you think that person is following you, then you have read into that person's intent, right? Completely. It has nothing to do with following you. And so that is an intent that you read into that person. That has nothing to do with what the person thinks. And that's the main point is not what is the person's intent. The main point is you read intent into an orb, a person, whatever. And I don't think you have any way of telling what the actual intent is. And if there is an intent in the first place when we talk about orbs. So how do you get to intent? Because all you say is, yeah, it looks like it. But it looks like it's not an answer.
Saying that, yes, there is a behavior. Yes, it's intelligent. My common sense.
How is it intelligent?
Because it appeared twice to me. Yes, it caused a loud bang inside our house and outside. It was doing things that freaked the hell out of us.
Yeah, but just because it freaks you out doesn't mean it's intelligent.
Oh, it was doing something to freak us out. It intended to scare us.
A spider can freak me out. That doesn't mean a spider is intelligent.
The comparisons are not the same, Iseth. There's just no way of using logic in that way.
Okay.
You just can't. It's just a totally different scenario.
Said it.
You're facing with something that is so abnormal, that's not common, but all of a sudden it's manifesting. And it's really, it has a major effect on you. And you have to figure out what's the purpose, what's the meaning. And that's where you have to do comparative analysis, have a qualitative research approach. So that might mean you have to spend thousands of hours looking at videos, filtering out the best ones, talking to other people, and then seeing if there's some kind of hypothesis you can come up with. And a lot of MUFON investigators would say that it's intelligent.
I guess I don't understand.
Even theologians.
The leap to purpose. Like there's no, what reason is there to think that? Sure, I understand there's a pattern to it, but again, why think that it's, forget the fact that it could be intelligent or not, why think there's a purpose to it? What reason do you have for thinking
that? Well, I can't just forget that it was intelligent because it was intelligent. That's what gives it its purpose.
Set that aside for now, just for the sake of discussion. Yeah. What leads you to think that there is purpose behind it? Its behavior.
See, I can't really use that kind of logic, like saying take away the idea of intelligence. There's no intelligence, there probably is no purpose, maybe. But I'm not sure.
What? Wait. Why is there no purpose when there's no intelligence?
I'm just saying, like, conversationally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not giving it purpose until I know it's intelligent.
Okay, well, if that's the root cause of it, so what is it that makes you think it's intelligent, other than the pattern of movement? Because that doesn't seem to be strong enough. There's plenty of patterns of movement in nature that have nothing to do with intelligence or sentience or intent. So what is it that makes you think that?
What makes me think it was intelligent? Okay. The fact that it replied 3 times with a flash of faint white light the week before I actually saw the red orb applied to my flashlight. And with a faint light that was just right over my house, reflected over the treetops. It seemed like it was signaling back. Something caused that. I don't know what. It didn't have a form. It was just light. It was faint. And I tried to verify, go on, check the weather, make sure was there a storm cell in the area and all that. And there wasn't.
And there's reactions. So, like, let's say
there was a reaction to my flashlight.
Right. Yeah.
Or to me, I guess.
Let's say that's the case, that something's reacting to your flashlight. That's still all you have, really. So what is it that makes you think, for example, instead of some kind of reaction to the light itself, why say that Why do you think it was, say, has some kind of not necessarily personhood, but agency of some kind? In the same way that you shine a flashlight in a mirror, it's going to reflect it back at you.
The situation is just not the same. There's no context of the area. I mean, you know your surroundings. You have to judge it based off that. And in the context of that area, there's nothing else to say that my flashlight was reflecting off anything, or say that someone else was in the area shining back and playing games with me.
Yeah, but it's not like you see the people. If it's dark, it's not like you see the people. You only see the light.
I checked around my house. I walked around. I looked, and yeah, I don't think there's.
By the time you reached there, it could have been gone already.
Not if it was a person.
Why not?
And they would be trespassing, and no.
Why not stop?
I don't think so.
Like, let's say, so like you observe this pattern of when you use your flashlight, that something responds in kind.
Mm-hmm.
Why not stop right there? Why say it must be this or it must be that? Like, why not just say that's what I know? There's some kind of response.
Because when I shine a flashlight, the flashlight itself is not intelligent, but I'm giving a pattern like Morse code sort of and flickering it. Something is causing that flashlight to flicker. That's me. I'm the intelligent being doing that. Something on the other side is also doing that. It's just a basic logical assumption.
But is it flickering exactly the same way you are flickering?
It was a dispersed light that was faint. So it wasn't as easy to tell if it was, if it was just static buildup in the sky.
You know what would be
Until
really,
it did
really
3 times.
You know what would be really, really creepy? Imagine you being outside and going around with the flashlight, and someone else is on the other side, and he sees your thingy, your flashlight, and thinks it's an alien, and he will have an alien experience, and you will have an alien experience because you guys molested each other.
That's interesting.
Well, people have some common sense to check the area, though. Okay, you don't just...
Not necessarily.
Yes, a lot of people who have experiences like this, they are trying to verify. They are doing their desperately trying to figure out, no. That object in my house should not be freaking moving. What's the cause? People know there's something, that there has to be a natural cause. If there isn't, they're like, okay, I have to come to the conclusion to say, well, that's supernatural action that happened there. And there are many cases where people said, there are objects moving in my damn house. I don't know what's causing it, but it seems to be intelligent. The poltergeist example, but no, people do take the time to try to verify. They really don't want this freaky stuff happening in their house. You have, not everybody, I mean, Iseth, you seem to be kind of, I don't know, you don't trust society in general, but the average person knows when something is abnormal.
Yeah, but the reason I don't trust society too much is because I know how the average person thinks, and I know there is a lot of flawed thinking going around there.
Well, when it comes to a specific testimony, that's different than just what you're saying you believe. Now, I have a testimony, and then on top of that, I'm saying I believe this because of other comparative studies and research. After doing all that other research, I come to a belief. And that's fine. People have a right to do that. Until someone says, well, maybe that's not, like right now, some people want to believe UFOs are extraterrestrial, and they push for that. But until someone contradicts them, and that's what I'm sort of trying to do, and other YouTubers are saying, well, we're not sure about that. And Jacques Vallée was one of the main researchers, astronomer, that argued against that hypothesis. So yeah, there are people out there who will come and try to revise someone's belief. I used to believe that UFOs equals ETs. Now I'm very skeptical of that because of my personal experience.
What do you think now that they are? What do you think they might be now?
Well, based on studying anthropology and history, I'm saying that I don't think we should dismiss these legends of will-o'-the-wisps, fairies, or jinn, or angels, or demons, or whatever people.
So you think they're like jinn and stuff like that?
I think there's some correlation to where those legends came from, and this phenomenon may be the source of that.
It seems to me that all those things, if they share that sort of common thread in the same way that a lot of
they're similar, yeah,
do, it seems to me that indicates a commonality in human psychology, or the way that the brain works in pattern seeking.
It's not human psychology, it's testimony. People are experiencing things and they're putting it down in oral history. Over time, it morphs into a more anthropomorphized artistic renderings of it. But when you peel back culture, what are you left with? So when I'm studying
if you peel back
anthropology,
culture, you're not even left with a person anymore, because a person is made of genetics plus a lot of culture on top of it. Even if you reach to the point where you can actually see lights in the sky, you have already so much culture in your head that it's very hard for you to wrap your head around something that you don't really have learned from your culture.
Yeah, even the concept of personhood is cultural. I mean, so like take for example the last thing we talked about topic-wise with the KSA assigning personhood and citizenship to a robot.
Oh yeah.
So, but like even that's cultural. So like, say a lower animal like a dog or something, they has zero concept of what it means to possess personhood. So what I think we're both getting at is you can't avoid assigning all these sort of attributes or purposes to what you're seeing. It's very difficult. And that's why I kept stressing, why not just be as strictly descriptive as possible and try to avoid normativity?
Yeah, you should. When you first experience it, but you have to figure out the why and the purpose, and get a little deeper than that. Than just okay, it's a ball of light and it's this shape and this size and this weight or whatever.
We are running slightly in circle here. I have two things that I have to do. First, thank you to Drew McTague and Fedos for the $5. I have no idea how on earth you managed to do this, because even though I turned it on, I don't think I didn't want to turn it on. I have no idea how this works. So thank you very much. And also we have someone in the Hangout. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello, Iseth.
Hello.
I'm Rixie. Rixie. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with your name. Emotep. I've Seekie. I've got to wonder. Are you familiar with the term pareidolia?
No. But can you explain it?
Okay, because this is something that I think if you look into it will change your perspective a lot. It's when we see a pattern in random data. Okay, they actually did this experiment. Are you familiar with the television show Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, a little bit. I've seen some of it.
I actually have all of the episodes. I could look it up and give it to you as a source later, but they ran an experiment. They gave different participants a series of tests. It was mostly puzzles and games, and some of them were designed to be easy so that the chances that the person would succeed would be really high. Others were deliberately really difficult so that they would fail. And then after, they made them stand about 10 or 15 feet away from a wall with a computer-generated image of what appeared to be what we would call snowflakes on a television screen, snow. So it's just white noise. But some of them actually had an image in the picture. Well, both participants, both teams of participants, whether they succeeded or failed, they were able to make out if it was a sailboat or a face or something like that. But what they found was that the people who failed at the test were more likely to see images that were not in the random noise. So they did have some images that had no, it was literally just random black, whites, and black dots and white dots. It didn't actually make up an image at all, but these people claim that they saw an image. It's the same reason it's only religious people that tend to see the Mother of Mary in a tortilla or on a dog's ass or in a tree.
Photo evidence. I could send you one. We have photo evidence of a very strange phenomenon that just started appearing. I sent it up to the Vatican. They're going to take it. They're going to review it. Something happened to a friend of mine that went to Medjugorje, and they were. Yeah, I'll send you guys that if you're interested. But
wait. You said you sent it to the Vatican.
No, I sent it to CatholicAnswers.com, and they said they're gonna try to get up to the level of the Vatican. These images that friends of mine.
My question is why wouldn't you give it to a scientist? Why would you give it to someone who has
cares? They don't care. That's the problem.
And science, you know this how?
Well, am I going to go to Iowa State University and ask them, hey, can you take a look at these photos? They're going to.
Yes, actually, you can. You can email their department, their science department. You can tell them, look, I have a strange phenomenon. It might be groundbreaking. I mean, all they have to do is look at your evidence. All you have to do is provide it. But you gave it to a biased source. I mean, at best, what are they going to do? Are they going to come back and say it's a miracle?
There's kind of two aspects you two have me thinking now. Is coincidentally, the university I'm at, in the anthropology department, they actually have this sort of side club or whatever you want to call it, and that's one of the things that they look into. It's just for fun, but they look at UFOs and sort of unexplained phenomena and stuff like that. So, but they do take it seriously in the sense that if they find something that, say, they can't explain, they do put it through the scientific process. And they're honest, and they found nothing, so far that seems to pass it. They do it for fun, but you can, in fact, submit it to a university and it will be taken seriously.
Maybe some college has that. I don't know yet. But
why? I think it's kind of what we were just saying. Why would you send it to a source that is predisposed to think?
The Vatican sends it to scientists. They take the Vatican a little bit more seriously than random people.
Sure.
The Vatican actually hires scientists to look into it. They're not the ones, they make a final conclusion on it based on the researchers, but they're the ones that actually send it to researchers. They have more weight than I do.
Sure.
So I need to get up to that, and they'll pass it down to the science committee.
Yeah, I understand that as an individual. You don't have as much pull as they do, but I'm also thinking I've looked at the results of, say, these Vatican investigations, and even they overwhelmingly reject these, like, left and right.
Yeah, they're very skeptical.
As I know, they haven't ascribed a single one to
the Fatima, the incident over Fatima, I think Portugal. They proclaimed as something supernatural intervened, and they're saying it's most likely that the claims people are saying is the Virgin Mary, and maybe it was. That's the only one. I think. Well, there's two.
Like in the 1920s, where the sun supposedly danced around in the sky.
Yeah, I don't think that was the sun. Some theologians are really arguing against that.
Yeah, I don't think it could be the sun. I'm pretty sure the entire Earth would have noticed.
No, they don't say it was the sun.
I'm not completely familiar with it.
Some people say it's a ball of light that appeared.
With Vatican submissions, they generally seem to come to one of three conclusions. One, it's supernatural. Two, it's natural, and here's the explanation. Or three, it's bunk. So far,
or three, demonic and don't pay attention to it, or the fourth is they don't know, just ignore it.
Right, but that would be a conclusion. So those three are the conclusions they always come to. So far, as I know, there's no other result other than yes, it's supernatural, or no, it's bunk.
Well, yeah, pretty much. It's supernatural.
Yeah, but that means that they discard one option. That means that they never come back and say, yes, it is natural, and here is how it works.
Exactly. No, they say that in many cases. Like someone says, oh, I think I'm possessed. And they're going to say, well, did an object move in your house? And they said, no, well, get back to us when it does. They want video evidence. I mean,
But see, that's the problem is that this source, I mean, I'm sorry, but the Catholic Church does not have the best record for debunking science.
That's not really their job. They're hiring researchers to do that. And not debunk science. I mean, they're hiring researchers to investigate these claims of paranormal events.
I guess my question to you is, what is the problem with simply saying, I don't know what the explanation is? Why do you have to have an explanation? You see, when I was referring to pareidolia and the experiment where they looked at white noise, and these people saw patterns that literally were not there. They literally claimed they saw something that was not in them. What the researchers concluded is that when people have a lack of control, they tend to imbue agency in their surroundings. Like, oh, well, I must be cursed. I must have bad luck. It must be bad karma. The universe has got it in for me. Maybe I'm not good enough to God. Or they always seem to punish themselves and then look to something that doesn't exist. And they can't simply say, well, maybe that's just the way that it is, and get on with their life. Instead, it's like they have to create an answer even if there isn't one to be had. And you seem to have this impatience for an answer. You are willing to convince yourself that you can summon UFOs with a flashlight. A flashlight. A flashlight.
Yeah.
You
It sounds
realize
stupid.
how
I
many
know.
more? Do you have any idea how much more luminescent major cities are compared to any flashlight you could ever
I don't
shine
know
in the
how it
sky?
worked, but it has something to do with my intent of the physical action of doing a summoning. It could be Charlie pencil board game. Something as simple as that. It's something to do with the human person willfully trying to summon something. That's the catalyst. You see these in pop
But
culture.
that's your problem, is that you have this model. First of all, how long have you been a Christian?
I'm a Catholic. I was baptized for. Yeah, I was raised Catholic.
Okay, so
I've
from
had
a
some
very
skeptical
young
moments.
age, your parents had regular conversations with you, presumably about the Bible, about Catholicism.
Yeah, most of it had to do with morality, not really about supernatural. They could care less. They want that stuff to stay away.
See, because I wonder if from a young age you started to build this model of reality that includes things that are not actually part of reality, where it's easy for you to say something like, I summoned something, when there's no evidence that any human being has ever summoned anything other than a
Yeah.
person to go to court as a summons.
No, there's a lot of cases where people claim that actually, and they've got something. The problem is it's so hard to get on camera.
Well, that's
This phenomenon
another
is very
question. You have a
sneaky.
YouTube channel. Have you documented these UFOs that you've summoned?
I have not been able to get it on video. I hope I can someday, but I really don't care to try it again. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll try it again. But
If you are able to
I'll
do
let
it
someone else do it.
yourself, to summon them yourself, that would be very interesting. I would want to see that footage, not from anyone
Too
else,
much,
because
okay.
with you, I know that you actually want to film the real stuff, at least.
I want to get on video. Yeah, oh
So,
sure. But the
you
damn
sent me
thing
that.
was
You
so
sent me that
sneaky.
video when you ever managed to do that. Yeah,
Send
you
you what
sent me
video?
the video where you actually managed to, Morse code over some weird UFO.
No, I never said I got on video. I failed. Because
No,
the damn thing was too clever.
he's at the saying whenever you do manage to get the video, to send it to her. She would be
Oh
very happy
yeah.
to see
I'm
it.
sorry.
We all would. The whole
Yeah.
world would.
There are
Because you
other
would be the
YouTubers.
first person on Earth to ever.
No, I'm not the first. There are other YouTubers
would
who are
be.
claiming this.
You would be
That
the
they can
first
get
if you could prove it. That's
Others
what I'm
have
trying
done
to
on
say.
video, but the problem is it's so discreet. It's hard to tell.
Those are the claims. That's not the evidence. That's just like the Bible. The Bible is the claim.
Video
the
is a
Bible isn't
form of
evidence
evidence.
for the Bible.
Evidence.
The Bible
though.
is the
Start
claim.
somewhere.
Well,
The
okay,
Bible
but
is a testimony. Yeah, it's a claim. You're right.
supposedly, but it is a claim.
A collective claim through many authors.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your point?
Why rush to say, like, in this conversation? I mean, oh my God, I was just face palming the first half hour, however long this has been going on for. You seem to have this desire to
Expose this crap.
No, you seem to like. Okay, I was kind of only hearing half of the conversation when you were talking about your own experience. I didn't get to hear all of the different pieces to this that you put together, but apparently there was a noise and it scared you and your entire family. Would you mind sharing that again?
Okay, so there's a lot of detail. Oh my God. I'll do the main case that I experienced. So that was back in 2015 in July, I think it was 9th, and it was at night. So I was intentionally trying to summon a UFO because I was watching some YouTube videos and people were claiming they could do this. And I'm like, okay, but they're claiming they could do it in the daytime. But I'm like, I'll try at night because it seems like most of the videos, according to MUFON, most UFO videos are authentic when they're at night for some reason. That's their claim. So I'm like, I'll try at night. So I got a flashlight and I flickered on off kind of like Morse code. Didn't get anything for like an hour. And then I got a faint flash of light that replied back. And I'm like, oh, is that static buildup? So, I check on my phone, make sure that there's, no storm cells in the area. I didn't see anything I think it was for like 300 miles away, there were a few storm cells. So I don't know if lightning can travel that far. But then I was thinking, well, this was concentrated light dispersed over the treetops near my house, right over my house. And then I flickered again, didn't get anything. But then about like 10 or 15 seconds later, I got another faint flash that replied. And then I tried that again. And then about a few seconds later, it replied again. And that third time, I was like, oh, that's freaky.
Why didn't you film it, mate?
because I had like an iPod.
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't get anything on there. It was crappy camera. Even with Nikon, it would not work too well. I didn't have a Nikon at the time. But so then a week later, I decided to, I think it was, a week later, I decided to summon again. And this time I heard these loud bangs. But the loud bangs were accompanied by fireworks. At the same time, they were shooting off cannons at the park because Civil War reenactment in Iowa. I don't know why. And then I heard another sound that sounded like a shotgun closer to my house. It seemed to change direction. Either it was to the south or then it was to the west.
And how
Like,
do you know the two events were related?
That's what I was trying to figure out, if that was fireworks, but I could tell the fireworks had a sparkly kind of noise.
Okay, wait, hang on. I'm sorry. Let me just interrupt for 1 sec. Were you ever able to confirm that the sound and the flash were related?
They were different days, so not totally. The flashes seem intelligent.
Do you believe the two are related?
Possibly. I'm not ruling that out.
Okay, because it seems like you are more willing to believe something without having it confirmed yet. I mean, if that's the case, then you can believe anything and everything, and, well, it would make you gullible.
No, there's some rational aspect of why I might need to believe that. I can believe a little bit. So, and then, after...
Well, you can certainly believe it deserves looking into, but to believe that they're connected until you've confirmed it is putting the cart before the horse.
When the red orb appeared 200 feet away, that's when I'm thinking, okay, maybe that was the cause of the faint white flashes.
Did anybody else see this red orb?
My sister did 2 weeks later when I got back from work, and I did not tell my family about it because I know my dad does not like me posting this stuff, and he pretty much just almost tried to delete my account, actually. So, yeah, she saw something, and she said that it was in the trees, like it was in the woods, and something moving between the trees, a couple 100 feet away. So it had a certain size. It was, I guess it was relatively about the size that I saw. It was red. It was spherical. It almost looked like the Star of Bethlehem kind of thing, but it was red. I don't know why it's red because I see other videos of different colors. That's what makes me think that they changed color. And then, yes, that was, so 2 times it appeared. That was it, sister. And then I'm like, okay. And then about a month later, we heard a loud bang 3 times at 3 nights in a row in our house. First, it sounded like it was outside. Then it sounded like it was on one side of our house. But then in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., we heard it inside, like literally inside the walls. And I'm like, what the heck caused that? And my parents thought that we were getting up and we tripped or something at night going to the bathroom. And something like that happened. And then about another month or 2 later, my sister experienced sleep paralysis for the first time. And I don't know if there's a connection on that, but I sure hell hope not. So that's when it got freaky. And I'm like, okay, I better stop with this because I don't know if I'm sort of causing it and this phenomenon is able to manifest because of my will. And that's where this idea of that humans are like the medium, I guess, for the supernatural to break into reality. I don't know.
You keep using language that indicates that you have this model that
that's based
will can somehow. Where's will? What is will? I mean, okay. Look, this is gonna sound. Hang on, look. This is gonna sound really pretentious, but seriously, how does Superman fly faster? Just more. I mean, seriously. That's what. Well, you laughed at that, but that's what we're hearing when you're saying that will influences. That's what we hear. That's what you sound like.
I'm saying every theologian in Islamic, Catholic, and Buddhist have been.
That's the problem. Look at your sources. These are people who for years have already tried to explain things by saying, "Oh, well, it's the supernatural." What's the supernatural? I don't know, but it's a thing that apparently exists that no one has ever quantified.
Something to do with our will. It has something to do with the idea of pure will to do.
How
be
do
able
you
to
know
do
that?
Action without.
That's the connection you're making.
What anthropologists are saying and what theologians are saying, and I'm
All right,
saying there might be a correlation.
Let me try this a little bit differently. Are you familiar with the typical creationist debate where creationists like to say, well, if there was no creator, then why is there information in DNA? Are you familiar with that? Okay.
I'm not
Do you
really
understand why that's a flawed argument?
They're saying something had to precede it. Like, a God.
Well, no. It's because they say that DNA is information. That's the problem. That alone. You could forget every other aspect. And who's saying it? DNA is not information. We imbue it with information. It on its own is not information, okay? 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom don't decide, they don't like have a chat like, hey, if we get together, we can make water.
Well,
It's
information,
it's,
yeah, that's just
there's no intention. So just like there's no information the way that we recognize information as a person deliberately writing a code, or even a Rube Goldberg experiment, where you have a whole bunch of things, one effect and another, man, I'm just.
Would you say a tree has information? Because I would say it does. The word information is just like a general way of saying there's characteristics we can observe its behavior. The tree has a certain textual quality, certain size, all that stuff. That's information.
That we recognize. That information does not mean anything to anyone on the planet but us. What is wet? Describe wet to a frog. Is one water molecule wet? How many does it take to become wet? See, these are only philosophical things that humans concern ourselves with.
Yeah, I agree. I'm saying that I'm perceiving information from this phenomenon, I guess you could say, yeah.
And that's exactly my point, is that you don't recognize that you are imbuing it with information. This is why what you're doing is not a science.
I'm not saying I choose it to be red. I'm saying that's what I saw. That's the information
I understand
I saw. It was red.
See, I don't doubt that you believe what you're saying. Well, that's not entirely true, because I have heard you snicker a little bit earlier, and I wondered if it was a self-conscious thing or if you're actually trolling.
I was probably just getting confused. I don't know.
Honestly.
I'm sorry?
Poe's law?
Poe's law? I'm not sure what that is.
Poe's law is that if someone is a really good troll, they're indistinguishable from an actual radical. So like flat earthers, no one can really tell who's a troll and who really believes it, because it's all just equally ridiculous. But you genuinely believe, you genuinely believe things that you're saying.
Okay. First of all, hi, David.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can we hear you? Can you say something? He's mute.
So have any of you guys ever experienced anything unusual?
Sure, but I stopped.
Absolutely.
That's weird.
Did you, I'll be specific. Have any of you guys actually seen an object move in your house on its own?
No.
Okay.
Of course not, because that's impossible. The energy has to come from somewhere.
Well, according to some videos out there, it sure sounds like people are pretty adamant that they see something move.
That's the claim. That's the claim. That's not the evidence.
Video is a form of evidence. You have to figure out if it's fake or not.
There's something.
You can simply say, "Who cares?" and you can move on. No. You don't have to hone in on it.
A real investigator would not do that. They would want to find out and prove that it's fake.
Well, this is a good example of kind of what we've been talking about. So let's say that I did see an object move on its own. Let's say that's what I perceived. Let's not say it's true. Let's just say I perceived an object in my home moving on its own.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would stop. I wouldn't, maybe to myself I'd wonder, but I wouldn't conclude that, because that's not only is that reading into it, agency and things like that, but it's starting with the conclusion and then looking to confirm it in the same way religious thinking works.
Confirmation bias.
What if you see it move more than once?
Okay, may I jump in here for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
When I was living in Italy, we had this place. I had this weird bedroom that was on the north side, and basically they had to blow up a part of the mountain to place that thing in there, the house. And so that room was usually very cold. No matter how warm the rest of the house was, that room was very cold. And for some reason, it was very, very easy for people to see things that weren't there. So something in that room made people constantly, missee things. It didn't happen just to me, it happened to everyone. And it was kind of weird. And I noticed that as long as I was, because I at a certain point I was a Catholic myself, you know, as long as I believed in this whole God-like thing, I was absolutely convinced that there were ghosts. Then I
You know how you
left
can easily
home.
verify
I
that?
left home. I came back. I noticed exactly the same things. And this time I interpreted them as, oh God, yeah, no, never mind. It's just weird imagination. You're just saying, oh. So from one moment to another, just because of my personal mindset, by seeing the same things and by noticing the same things, I have a different experience, and that is just in my mind. So how can we say for certain that the things that we see can actually be exactly the way that we see them, even though we have so much own personal data that we shove on top of it?
You have video evidence. That's what we need. So all you have to do, Eseth, is you get a camera, you put it in the room, put a dim lighting in that room, and then you look for these little transparent orbs. Every poltergeist case has it. It's strange, but it's consistent.
Wait. Every poltergeist case has it, or every
Authentic
case
one.
that has it is labeled as a poltergeist case?
Nailed it.
No, I'm saying
Do you know?
Well-
Do you understand the difference?
every poltergeist claim
I
that
understand
seems
that.
to be authentic has these little orbs in them.
And that's my question. Which way is it? Do they, in other words, is that the threshold for what becomes a poltergeist case that seems to be authentic, as you put it?
Well, not just that, but whether there's actual objects moving and you get it on camera. That's what you need.
I just wish you understood more about physics, because then you would understand why that's completely impossible. The
there's
energy
video
has to
evidence out
come
there.
from somewhere.
Yes,
The
it's coming
energy
from
has to come
something,
from
maybe
somewhere.
interdimensional. I don't know.
To the
No.
best of our understanding, the balance of energy across the entire universe is zero. Because it's all contained, it's all within the system. So you only have a transfer of energy from one location to another location. We don't have extra energy coming into the universe and then energy leaving the universe.
Right. It's a closed system, like the second law of
Exactly.
thermodynamics.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, some sites say there are other dimensions. I mean, they're still
Of
researching.
course,
that, I
none of it
guess,
has
but
been confirmed yet. I mean, it's all speculative.
one thing I've noticed is most of the poltergeist phenomenon, when they claim they have these little orbs, they're always an orb, they're a sphere. And the UFO phenomenon, majority of them are always a sphere. And I've seen videos showing them expanding into, expanding in size and shrinking and splitting. So it's like they're coming in from a pinpoint source, like they're just expanding into our dimension. It's strange, but I've noticed videos like that, and I don't know if that's some evidence to say that that's how they manifest.
I have a question. What would you call a UFO that's sitting on the ground?
Sitting on the ground.
It's not flying. So what is it? An unknown stationary object? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because you need to know the other context. I mean, if it was a
Sorry.
ball of light hovering above the ground, then it's still a UFO.
no,
Yeah, but
on
if
the
it's not
ground,
hovering, it's
not
like
flying.
completely on the ground. If it's standing, what is it?
Standing, you mean it has like landing pads or something? Like it has like
No, it's just straight up.
You walk out your door, and there it is on the ground. It's not moving. So you don't know that it ever was in the air, or that it even has the capabilities to be in the air. Do you think it falls under MUFON's?
it either had to disappear. If it's still there, then you can observe it clearly, unless it disappears on you or it moves up. You have to see you have to wait to find out what it does.
See, what I'm trying to get at is there are certain thresholds, it seems, before something becomes categorized as something else. I mean, as humans, we tend to do this because it's easier. We label the things around us, and we compare the unknown by explaining it in the terms of the known. If I say, look, I discovered this thing today, I'll describe it in terms that you understand. If I use a language you've never heard, then we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, at what point in your life did you learn these terms by watching these videos? I mean, I kind of get the impression that you almost had to, because your parents didn't teach you this.
Well,
So you had to learn, okay, well, if you see something in the air, then that's called a UFO.
or a UAP. That's what
That's
the
what I'm
military
talking
uses.
about.
The military doesn't use the acronym UFO anymore because of the stigma. They actually use UAP, according to what I've learned when I asked a captain in the Air Force.
I mean, I promise you that probably everybody in the chat and everybody here would be over the moon if we could even confirm the possibility of extraterrestrials or anything, supernatural
There
or
is video
otherwise.
evidence, and that's where we need professionals who can investigate videos and figure out if they're fake or not. That's all we have.
That's true. That's true. Okay, I will agree with you on that. But what we don't have to do is jump to conclusions. We don't have to say, oh, well, this must be some supernatural thing. This must be. I mean, that's what we
You
did.
can jump to
That's,
conclusion, but make sure you're willing to change the conclusion as you've developed more evidence. It's okay to say that I hypothesize that maybe there's a behavior to the phenomenon because of these characteristics and aspects to it.
what would it take for you to? What would it take for you to recognize that you have been wrong about all of this?
Well, if people come up with video evidence showing actual little ETs on the ground, dead bodies, then I'll say, oh, well, okay, I guess they are extraterrestrials, and then everything else was just
Yeah,
No,
but
I meant the other way.
That's extraterrestrial. What he's asking is, what would make you believe that this orb stuff that you see in the sky doesn't, like, it's not is not sentient, is not what you think it is, that it's just, you know, lights or something. What
Exactly.
would it take you to accept that these things are not, you know, any kind of interdimensional whatever? What evidence do you need to get that proven to you?
If people can just summon something on their own and the person is actually the cause because of their psychic connection or something, then I could say, well, maybe it's really just all manifestation of our supernatural, our powers, not something external. Not
Okay, so
external
you're starting with
intelligence.
that. That's your premise.
Maybe,
You-
yeah, like, but right now I'm saying I wasn't able to summon it right away. It took some time.
Hang on. I'm just trying to make sure that I completely understand you. So you're starting with the premise people can summon things. You're accepting that as factual.
What I'm saying, yeah, let's say if people can do that,
Wait, I'm sorry, that was a yes?
hypothetically, yes, people can
I'm
summon
just-
something.
Okay, well, that's the problem. What would it take for you to discover that humans cannot summon anything? What would it take to dissuade you of this thinking?
Well,
How could you ever be convinced otherwise?
myself, because on my first try, I couldn't summon it. So does that make me believe that I can't
Okay.
summon it?
We
No, but
remember the
he's
hint.
asking, what would it take you to believe that you cannot summon things full stop? No matter how often you try it, and even if something pops up, it's, you know, coincidence. What would it take you to believe that?
I mean, I don't know.
What evidence would you need?
There's a lack of evidence. If you can't summon it, there's no evidence.
Well, that's the problem. So if we can't summon it, yet you believe that we live in a world where humans can summon things, then you're wrong, and it's impossible to prove to you that you're ever wrong.
Yeah, it's a
That means it's unfalsifiable. That means it's non-scientific.
Well, I'm
Do
saying
you not
that there
recognize
are
that?
yes, a majority of cases, like 99.9%, people can't summon things. But
No,
there's still a
We're
certain
talking
number
about
out there.
you. You believe
Yeah,
that
I
you
can't
have
prove,
summoned
guys.
something. You
I
believe that
can-
you've done it.
No, I can't show full proof that I can summon something because it's going to take a lot of time and I don't have the patience, to be honest. And
Right,
I'm not
but what I'm
gonna
asking
put
you
my
is,
family-
what would it take to show you that you didn't summon anything? That it's not possible for humans to summon something, so that that part of your model of reality is completely destroyed.
Well,
What if you're wrong? That's all that I'm asking. What if you're completely wrong? Have you even entertained that option?
I'm not wrong because I actually experienced something. That's why I'm holding
There you
on to
go.
that.
There you go. So no matter
What's
what we
wrong with
say
that?
to
I'm
you,
holding on to my belief. There are thousands of people who say,
That's the
I saw
problem.
something. I want some answers.
yes,
So we
but
have
you
to,
don't have to start with something that there is no proof for, like that we can summon
there's video
anything.
evidence. There is video evidence out there and you have to look up.
So there's video evidence that people can summon anything, spirits, ghosts, goblins, whatever. You've seen it,
No,
and you're
specific-
convinced, so that part will never change.
There's specific
Because you can't unsee it.
phenomenons that do manifest. And yes, some YouTubers like Mellow Bird, which Iseth, you think you can probably debunk him. I don't think so. Good luck on that because there are
Because
so many videos out there and you're going to have to
Yeah,
find.
but that's the point. You say if I don't debunk every video out there,
Yep.
then everything is true.
Exactly. He's
The fact
basically
that
saying,
yeah.
I believe this, and if you can't prove me wrong, then I must be right. But that's not how science works.
If there's an investigator that goes to Mellowbird and finds out that he is skilled in After Effects and his family comes out and says, yes, he's a big liar, then sure. That would be
right,
enough
so
to
that's
me.
what it would take.
That's
So
it
what
would
if the whole family's in on it?
take.
If the whole
Well,
family's in
then-
on it, then the investigator will be misled. And you're too eager, you're too credulous, you're just happy to believe it. And this is why you can end up with false beliefs. Through all of these conversations that they've been having with you, they've been trying to get you to be a little bit more
You're
critical,
trying
a
to
little
tell me
bit
I
more
didn't see
skeptical.
something. I saw
I'm sorry?
something, and that's all you need to know. And you guys can go summon a UFO on your own. Get a flashlight, spend about every weekend for 2 months straight, you'll get something.
Dude, I have no doubt that if I just spend 2 months straight doing anything, I'm going to start to hallucinate something.
I'm not
And I'm an
hallucinating 'cause
atheist. I don't
my
believe in
sister saw it. My
anything
sister-
supernatural, but I promise you, I will see something.
Give me 5 years and I'll try to get it on video for you guys.
Now wait a second.
It'll take a
Can you
long
hear me
time.
now?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
I really want to know.
Batman.
Wait. Why do I have a person twice in the Hangout? Like, what's
Because
going on
I
here?
came off mobile, Seth.
Oh.
Okay, so I eject the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eject the muted one.
Eject the muted David. Okay, so hi David and hi Batman. The Batman. So
I was going to ask, these you summoned stuff you said. From what I've read, scientists have actually tried doing stuff like this under laboratory conditions where these things can be tested. Gone through all the preparations correctly, gone through all the rituals, ceremonies, whatever correctly, correct ingredients, everything prepared correctly, and nothing has ever happened.
I think there was one case, I'm forgetting the name, but I can look it up here. Let's see.
There's also this guy, I'm forgetting his name. He's got, I think it's $1 million prize to anybody who can prove the existence of the supernatural telepathy.
It's James.
Yeah.
yeah, but the problem with James Randi is that because they got so many requests, they do not take you that easily anymore. Like, you have to have local newspaper, talking about it and stuff like that. So that one is kind of off, and it's kind of sad because it was a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
But at the time he had the thing going, there were lots of people came forward, but nobody ever walked away with that prize.
I have a question for our UFO friend here.
Go for it.
So, other than what you've described to us as your personal experience, it seems that you've gotten most of your information off of YouTube, correct?
Off this thing we call the internet, yeah. That's
So,
what we have.
okay, so I'm
Books
wondering,
too. The books don't have visual.
have you ever watched a YouTube video or looked into any type of, social media that shows why these things could be false?
Yes. Debunkers, yeah. And they try to debunk things by recreating, but recreating doesn't really necessarily disprove a video. They have to find actual evidence either through a family member coming out and say, yes, this person's fake. Here's his Facebook account. He has skills in this. And then
When someone recreates a video, what it does is it gives you another option. It says, okay, listen, it is possible to fake this video, which means there is the possibility that this person fakes. Now, listen very well. If you have the thing that you have two options, A, it's a ghost, B, it is fake, C, it's whatever, ignore it, pixies. If you have all these options and one happens to show you that one option is actually a very good option and that is very likely to be the right option, for example, fake, then that doesn't mean necessarily that it is fake, but it means it is very likely fake or easy to be fake because it is so easy to fake. Okay, so what you have to do is whatever hypothesis you have to disprove the other guy's hypothesis first, and then you have to take your hypothesis and have evidence for it so that your hypothesis is stronger, because as long as his hypothesis is stronger, it's more likely that he's right than that you are right.
Yeah, part of the scientific method is you develop a hypothesis. And
it's a
for it
lot
to become a
easier to
scientific
disprove
theory,
something.
you've got to try and disprove your hypothesis yourself.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to disprove than find evidence of
Yeah.
something real.
Not these days, it's a lot easier to prove shit. Nowadays, all you have to do is make a claim. It's
I shouldn't say this.
I'm not a young guy. I'm 53, and back in the 70s, we had this very similar thing happening. Only we didn't have the internet, so it was on with books and magazines. So I've been through this whole craze once before, and that's all it is. It's a craze. We used to call it the new age bullshit back in the 70s and in the early 80s.
I remember that.
A lot of new age bullshit.
It's just a resurgence of it with the internet.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Enigma too. I brought up to Eseth in Twitter too. I'm epileptic, and I don't know if I know you said your sister and you experienced the lights. Did your parents experience the lights?
My parents experienced the noise.
Okay.
Not the lights.
And has the noises ever been correlated at the same exact time as the lights?
No. That's the problem.
Okay, so that's a problem. So you and your sister are siblings from the same parents, correct?
Wait.
We
You're
are adopted.
adopted, right? Are
not
you
biologically related.
siblings biologically, or are you adopted from different places?
Same country, but different orphanage.
Okay, so that kind of throws that out the window a little bit. Yeah, I was just gonna say, because there's a lot of there's other explanations for these things that may not even be related, that you may not even think about. Like a visual phenomenon can be a hallucination, or it could be not related to drugs or something like that. So
you don't have to be related. Just suffer similar symptoms. You just need a strong personal bond, and you'll get a psychosomatic sympathetic.
That's true too.
Hence, male phantom pregnancies or sympathetic pregnancies.
My question for Seekie would be, what would you do 1,000 years ago? If you had the same experience, you wouldn't have the internet to research it. So presumably you would only have your local priest to talk to, who would maybe try to give you some supernatural explanation, and you would tend to believe that was the explanation.
I think
the only reason you're drawing the conclusion you're drawing is based on what other people are calling these experiences. So it's like, it must be that. Let me tell you a real quick little short story if I can. I'm a huge fan of the BBC Channel 4 show, The Infinite Monkey Cage. Professor Brian Cox and comedian Robin Ince are the two hosts. And they were talking about supernatural events or supposed supernatural events. And they were talking about a radio show that some woman called in and she said, well, late at night, I'll hear my piano playing and it really scares me. So I'll go downstairs and I'll look and it's closed up and the cat's wherever. So it's not that. So two different people gave her an explanation. The first was trying to give her a logical explanation. Well, if it's a wood piano, that the temperature can have an effect on it and can actually stretch it and cause the strings to pop and make it sound like keys are playing. And she went, but then somebody else said, well, they say that fairies like to come out at night and dance on the keys. And she went, oh, yeah, that one. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hey, here's one for you.
Yeah.
Aliens.
You're correct. There are some people who just want to believe in certain things. I've noticed people say, I saw a fairy. And I'm like,
so my question to you is, how do you know that you're not just being credulous?
I'm saying I saw a ball of light. Okay, that's like, was it Shifty was saying, just focus on the objective aspect, and that's a ball of light. It was red, a certain size. It didn't fit anything else within the context of the area. So I have to say that, maybe it's paranormal, maybe it's supernatural, because it's not thinking anything else natural.
That's my point. Why do you have to say it's supernatural?
Because it wasn't a flying car.
Why can't you simply say, I don't know what I saw?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I say that too, but I'm leading my belief that it is leading to something paranormal or supernatural.
I think
doesn't mean you can't study it. You can still objectively study the supernatural. It's still part of nature.
If it's part of nature, it can't be supernatural.
When we were talking earlier, one reason we keep hammering home so hard with the scientific method in falsifiability is
how do I falsify my own objective sighting? Like I can't. All I saw was something I saw.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying.
Or it doesn't.
The reason we keep asking about or mentioning that is because science isn't about proving things. It's about the inability to disprove things.
Yep.
And it's a big difference.
This is why.
How do I disprove what I saw?
This is why scientific knowledge
I didn't
change.
see it.
Yeah, but they don't tell you you have to disprove what you saw. What they tell you is you have only seen something particular. You have seen light. You didn't see divine whatever. You just saw light. Everything that you add on top of it is added by you, and that you have to prove or disprove. Some weird, light, something in the sky doesn't have to be disproven. Everything you interpret into it afterwards is what you have to be disproven.
Yes.
That was, yeah.
And also, your perception is in question as well, because everything that happens to you is a matter of your perception, and the same goes for your sister. Your perception of the situation is incumbent upon your senses. So there could be something wrong with your senses. You need to rule that out. You need to find a way to falsify your own senses in that situation. You need to try, like you say you can summon these things. Well, is there something else you can do to see if there's a way to change that and see if there's a way to falsify that, change some variable? There's the independent variable and there's the dependent variable. So if you look those two terms up and perform an experiment with those two variables to see if you can determine what it is that affects this thing that you see.
I've seen unidentified flying objects a few times in my life. One of the most memorable, it was back in the 70s again. I was convinced that it was an alien spacecraft of some kind. It was a light in the sky moving against the stars. I later found out that night that was actually Skylab passing over my area.
Now that's white? Cool.
That is very cool.
That's
it
white?
Kind of, yeah. But it was Skylab.
This was red.
I've seen red ones as well.
There's a majority of satellites, like 90% or more, definitely have a whitish color. In our space station,
because they're reflecting sunlight.
Yeah. I'm really glad.
Red ones, I have no explanation of. All I can say is what you saw and what I've seen for the most part has just been something that at that time and even now you can't identify. It doesn't have to be supernatural. It doesn't have to be a bunch of aliens.
But your situation was different than mine. Yours was way up in the sky. Mine was close to the ground.
Well, I've never seen anything close to the ground.
Yeah, so that's where I'm saying I perceive more because of the context of the area. If it was just up in the sky, it's hiding like a satellite. I can't quite tell. I've seen UFOs like that, and I'm like, I don't care. You're going to have to do better than that. And it did do better. It appeared as a red big orb.
You were asking earlier, what do you call it when it's on the ground? It's called a close encounter of the second kind.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't abducted, thank God.
No, that's the fourth kind.
Seekie, I posted a link in the chat. I would really appreciate it if you'd give it a look whenever you have a chance. I mean, I'd actually like to talk to you more than this as well, just to pick your brain and see if we maybe can come to some kind of understanding about all of this.
I just want to say to ESET's viewers, like, if you guys want to try this experiment, you have to have some dedication. It's as simple as getting a flashlight. Go out on your porch, try it over when the stars are out, and do it over the summer. And just do that for 2 years or so. One of you might get something. There's a high
but there's a sign that Christians put up. It's a billboard, and it says, "Pray until something happens." Do you know why atheists laugh at that? Because eventually something will happen that you attribute to the prayer.
No.
Yes.
No. It's not. I guess you could say it's sort of like a prayer. I never thought of that. That's why I guess the Catholic Church doesn't like the idea of Catholics summoning things, because in some sense you're worshiping something that probably is not God, because it's a form of prayer. I guess you could argue that. I never thought of that, but no, because it's not like you can try to summon. Okay, well, how should I say this? I'm gonna keep saying, like, it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Eventually, it's gonna rain, but it's gonna rain because it's happened so many times before. But UFOs, on the other hand, the context is just totally different.
You just clearly say, all those people saw UFOs, which means, you're expecting this to happen as well, which is weird.
Yeah, and
It's like
usually
you're sitting there
happens.
for 2 hours, for 2 years, every summer night, just going out, flashing the light up to the sky or something. It's like, yeah,
And it is a proven that people of certain mindsets, if they want something to happen, want to see something, and they want it hard enough, they will see it.
Manifest destiny.
If you want to discover something new, you have to
You
seek it out.
It's funny you mentioned the rain, because I was actually going to bring up the Native American rain dance, and that it actually works, but that's because they don't stop dancing until it rains.
Yeah.
So
those comparative studies just don't work.
You get this guy in the center of, let's say, New York, and he's drawing a circle with bright orange chalk. And this cop stops him and says, "Why are you drawing that circle?" And it's to make sure I don't get attacked by any tigers. And the cop goes, there's no tigers in New York. And see, it's working already.
I've heard that. That is really good.
I'd like to bring something up that we were kind of touching on earlier, though, and it's an older concept in Kantian metaphysics, but I think it could explain a lot of what you're talking about with regards to things like the change in the color of light and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these two sort of categories of objects in the world, noumena and phenomena. So phenomena is what we perceive, of the object as people with our biology. And the noumena is the thing in itself, something we will never have access to because we always see it through a human eye or a dog eye or whatever. Yeah, even if we look at instruments, we're eventually perceiving it with our brain. Mm-hmm. So I think that could very easily explain a lot of aspects of what you're talking about, where you say variance in color of light or, the shape or things like that. People never perceive things like in the same way. That's why you have things like conflicting eyewitnesses in court cases. All the time it happens. And
a horse is a horse, okay? Every person could say when they see something objective, it's pretty consistent.
Well, I don't mean that an object could be something that it's not. I mean, the way you perceive it is not going to be identical. So you and I could look at the same object and not see it the same.
You don't know about the old argument.
But you would still see it as red if you saw it.
Yeah. Well, hang on. I just want to bring it up. I'm sorry.
It's the old, how can you tell that when I say that is red and you look at it and agree that it's red, that you're seeing the same color I'm seeing?
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to point out that Vsauce actually did a video on exactly that. And I've wondered the same thing. Maybe when I look at a red fire hydrant, I see that spectrum of the visible light, but other people see what I call green. Unless science finds a way to swap our, visual
perception.
Cortex of our brain, yeah, exactly. It's almost impossible to know. All that we know is that we agree that the label for that spectrum is what we both call red, but that's it.
Exactly.
So we really don't know beyond that.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to make chicken taste like, which is why chicken tastes like everything.
I love that line. Yeah. I love that line. That's such a really good line.
Yeah, if somebody saw what I saw and I had like 10 other people with me, majority of them would probably say it's red.
But let me ask here.
Unless they're colorblind.
Example.
But they might stop right there. I'm willing to bet that everybody in the chat and everybody on the stream right now, if we all saw exactly what you saw, we wouldn't leap to the conclusion that you leapt to. This wouldn't then make us dedicate our lives to researching videos on YouTube.
Yeah, devout Catholic.
I mean, yes, I have a certain belief, maybe, but I'm willing to change it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Saying a devout Catholic would possibly claim it's a chariot of the devil.
Well, and they would have prior to the advent of the internet. I mean, I'm a former Catholic myself.
Even now, they probably would.
Religions evolve. The Catholic Church is willing to change as more science, more revelations appear.
Here's a really simple experiment you can do to sort of easily see what I'm getting at too. Is take, like, on a cloudy day, you and a couple other people, or even just one other person, go outside, look up at the clouds, and then, without seeing it, write down what you think the cloud looks like. So like, this cloud looks like a dog, and your friend will come up with, this cloud looks like a turtle, but it's the same cloud that you're looking at.
Yeah, it's the human pattern recognition at
But
work.
it's still a cloud.
Right.
So it doesn't
But it's
matter.
the same thing. It's not described in the same way, though. That's what I mean by your perception is flawed in that sense.
Yeah, the police will
My
often say that the only
conclusional perception may
reliable...
be different. Yeah, but the objective perception is still the
Yeah.
same.
You ask a policeman, they will tell you the only
Yeah.
reliable witness to any incident is a camera.
And on top of that, even that's unreliable because you have to perceive the results of the camera.
That's true.
And it's not
Yeah,
just
you
your
have to start with
perception
something,
that's
and
at
all we have is
fault when it
cameras.
comes to relating events. It's your memory as well.
Well, Seekie, I sent a link in the chat specifically about the UFO over Temple Mount, and it goes over how the second video was definitely fake, that it was a still image on a monitor. I mean, you can literally see the pixels on the screen. It's completely fake. That there are flashes of light in the first video that are not present in the second video.
What about the fourth video?
Dude, it's all bunk. The first guy is an actor from Jerusalem. When he was Israel did an investigation back in 2011 because they were curious about it. So Channel 10 apparently.
News stations do
old sources.
investigations.
Well, they wanted to look into it, so they interviewed him, and the only cryptic message he gave is, "Who knows?" And I saw what I saw, and he gave some yogi answer. Didn't mean anything. I mean, he wouldn't admit it. At the same
I'll
time,
talk to him on YouTube. I've talked to him once, but I'll try to see if I can contact him.
Well, I would like to know what his response is to the link that I posted.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. But
because that deals with his video specifically.
Oh, here's one for you. Going back to the 70s again. I know, I'm an old guy and I like living in the past, right? Bermuda Triangle. Do you know, until Charles Berlitz wrote the book and made his documentary movie, nobody had ever heard of it. It's a hoax. It's one of the longest hoaxes on the go. And you can easily prove that by go to any maritime insurance company, and you get a list. You get one of the logbooks. Pick an area, any shipping area in the world, and you can come across the same amount of mysterious disappearances as you can in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, it's no different than any other area in the world.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm not into that Bermuda Triangle stuff. I don't really fall for that. Unless they have video evidence showing something physically disappearing, but I want the video evidence if I can get it to you guys on video. But then again, you'll just say it's fake. People on the internet will just say, "Oh, you did."
No, Seekie. We don't assume every video is fake.
Most of the internet does.
The thing that we assume is if you cannot, if you say there is light in the sky or light orbs or whatever, that's where we stop. We say you cannot say there is an agency behind this light in the sky.
Exactly.
You can say it's not a drone because you can do a comparative study. You can say it's not a plane because the altitude is different. You can say a lot. You can eliminate a lot of things.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even have to look at it, and I can tell you it's not Bigfoot.
Yeah, so you can eliminate a lot of things and come down to some kind of conclusion,
such as it's light orb in the sky. End of story.
Exactly. Why do you have to reach for a conclusion? Maybe you'll never get the answer.
Well,
that's
the
point.
You should try to research as much as you
can. It's so hard to find anything from the video.
Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of research.
No. The video doesn't show you very much. You cannot study. I don't know. You cannot study the pressure there. You cannot measure. You cannot measure much there because it's just a video. All you have is something that you see.
You have to start with some form of
that is why you can. It's very limited what you can do with the video.
Well, nowadays,
it's better than a picture.
With the old light in the sky, especially nowadays, it's a lot worse because of all the space junk.
A video is better than a picture, true. If you got video with audio, that'd be even better. If you got video with audio and air pressure, that'd be even better. Like seriously, design an experiment and then summon these things. If
Yeah,
they're
I've
real,
tried, this thing is, I'm sorry to say, but yeah, I keep saying it has a behavior because it's almost like it doesn't want me to get it on camera. Like it knows I'm trying to video, so it's just gonna wait until I put my camera away or wait until my battery dies and then it appears. Like
Seekie, I wish you could hear yourself the way that we're hearing you.
Like, well,
You're talking about its desires. You're saying what it wants to do, and you're describing a behavior the same way that a child would say that a door closing on their hand bit them,
yeah.
because they imbue everything with agency.
Enigma, I'm not saying this is the case, but it does sound like what you're describing. It doesn't want to be caught on camera because you don't want to be caught on camera. It's like
it sounds like an excuse. I know.
It's like no, not an excuse. It's like you're observing an illusion, and your subconscious knows if you try and photograph it, you'll dispel the illusion. So the illusion then avoids the camera because it's part of your subconscious mind projecting it.
No,
I'm not saying that's the case.
This is an external event. This was definitely external. And then there
Okay,
are
but you
people
did
who
say
have
that you're not.
captured
Hang on.
the
You did say that
evidence.
you're not interested in trying to summon it again because what it scared you.
Well, that and yeah, my parents did not like the fact that I was looking into this stuff and something did happen in our house, and they're like, "You gotta stop this crap." So it just emotionally, yeah, my parents did not like it. So for the sake of them, I might not do it at my house, but maybe another place. I'd be interested in something somewhere else.
So let it be known that if we were ever going to prove the existence of, say, UFOs, we were foiled because your parents didn't like it.
I'm saying that there are so many other
exactly.
people who do have video evidence, and you should talk to them. I failed, but others have not.
I'm not done with you.
I have to say, if there is such a thing as UFOs, ghosts, the afterlife, I severely doubt whether it's because the agency is some good. I think if such things do exist, they're scientifically quantifiable and they're just a natural part of the universe.
Yeah, I mean, the supernatural is still partially natural. It's just it's just a lot deeper. There's laws of physics that we haven't maybe discovered yet. I don't know. We're just barely scratching the surface, and now in the 20th century, technology exploded, so we're starting to be able to see the effects of the supernatural. This is the first time in history that we actually can try to objectively study this stuff, because now we have cameras, now we have the internet, we can investigate this deeply, the qualitative research approach, collect data and all that. And that's an amazing thing.
You're overlooking the fact that now the average person has the means of faking all of it and skewing the results.
You can filter those out.
There are some incredibly sophisticated fakes out there.
Exactly.
Especially for UFOs.
You filter out as many as you can to get down to the best, and you contact the person and you see if you can try to summon it at their house and set up an experiment. Most scientists have not got to that level yet, but it's just a matter of time, I think.
I do look at this stuff objectively because
it is.
I do not say there are no such thing as ghosts. There are no such things as extraterrestrial visitors to Earth. I will say I don't believe there are, but I'm not ruling out the possibility that they are there.
Well, I'm just saying, I've had people come up to me and they're saying, "Hey, can you take a look at my video?" And I'm having some experiences at my house, and I'm like, "Okay, is it fake or not?" I send it up to another YouTuber, and there's a point where you just can't always tell if it's fake or not. But that's why you have to have some criteria of picking the best videos you can out there, filtering out as many as you can, trying to figure out the context, the situation, all that.
And who do you think is the most qualified to make that determination?
Not me. But there are not many investigators that do that, but there are some. But then again, they're categorized as move-on investigators, so no one takes them seriously. And they focus too much on books, and they're, "Oh, look, I'm writing a book." And
well, I mean, apparently you think the Catholic Church is a sufficient agent, a sufficient authority.
They don't think they're sufficient. I'm saying I sent my photo to CatholicAnswers.com. They said they're going to try to get up to a theologian who will look at it, and then he'll make the decision whether to send it up to Vatican, and then they'll decide to give it to the right university or whatever to investigate.
Why not publish it on the internet and let everybody look at it?
It just gets lost. It already is. I have a video that's 500,000 views, and the only video of mine that ever went viral.
The most famous poltergeist incident was in Germany, I believe. And
it's poltergeist, I think.
It had people going for almost a year until the investigators didn't tell the family and they installed hidden cameras. Then they caught the real poltergeist. It was this little girl. She was the daughter of the family. She'd get out of bed at night, sleepwalking, and go and smash things up, then go back to bed. She didn't know she was doing it. She was sleepwalking, and they thought it was a poltergeist.
That case out and move on to the next one.
Yeah. But
that's what you have to do as an
it's
investigator.
just the same as almost every other ghost investigation.
But you can't say they're all fake. You have to, like you said, they found evidence that she faked it. So you just
you can't say they're all fake, but the evidence points towards them all being fake at the moment.
Like YouTuber Michael Medji, I think he's a poltergeist YouTuber, and I don't know, he's got so many that it's going to take a lot of work to disprove him.
Poltergeist using YouTube.
Hmm?
You said he's a poltergeist YouTuber.
Yeah, he makes videos about poltergeist phenomenon. He's documenting his experience. He's not over exaggerating. He's trying to be specific. He's trying to do little experiments. He's not just. He was saying that there's some YouTubers that are all about entertainment. They over exaggerate. And they always put that little red circle around the object. And here it is, and he's just trying to be objective about it and do experiments. He thinks they're like some lost dead soul. I don't think it is. I think it's just some crazy supernatural being that's messing with him. But maybe I don't think he's faking. There are only a few YouTubers out there that I trust. Majority of them, I agree. There are a lot of people who just focus on entertainment and that's it, not documentation.
Isaac, I hope I'm not taking over your stream because that's not my intention.
You know, you had so much fun. I really didn't really know what to do about this. You know, we should maybe.
It's getting a little late, I guess, for me.
Yeah. Okay. Aside from that, we should maybe cut it out a bit. And I mean, it's a nice discussion. If you guys want to have Seekie on your thing, I put. Who did I put? Who did I forget on the list, on the description list?
I'm not sure.
I have Shifty in there. I have Real Everyday in there. I have Seekie in there.
My name's Red, by the way. You can call me Red.
Red.
I go by that.
I just stick to the names. That's the easiest for me. No, I genuinely, I don't even know anymore what to say to you, Seekie. I don't know if you're a troll. I don't know if you're batshit crazy. I don't know if you're just very, very much into having it wanting to be real. I cannot
give me 5
anymore.
years and I'll try to get it on video, but then you'll just say it's fake.
Can I just highlight this one point one more time? I feel like this whole conversation would have been almost for nothing if we can't at least get this really spelled out to everybody. There is absolutely nothing. I'm asking you, is there absolutely nothing to convince you that human beings cannot summon anything?
I don't know how to answer that question because, how do you disprove someone who can't summon something?
That's why you shouldn't believe it, because it's unfalsifiable.
Yeah, so I don't think the question is proper.
No.
The question is you have to seek out to discover something new.
If something is unfalsifiable, that you cannot falsify it. It means that the way you frame it is such that it's already wrong. If you want something, to be studied, if you want something to be, seen as real or false, then the only requirement that is absolutely 100% necessary in order to even start is it has to be falsifiable. If something is not falsifiable, anything, if it's not falsifiable, you cannot study it, and worst of all, you should not believe it at all.
You need to know what you're falsifying.
The basic idea is anything that is real can be copied and faked.
Yeah, that's true too. So you have to have a criteria for fixation.
Something that is unfalsifiable. An example of it, and this is a really silly example. I come up to you with an oil burning lamp, and I say, "You can see it. It's clear. It's one of the ones you would buy in Trader Joe's, for example." And I tell you, there's a magic genie in this lamp, and it comes out when I rub it, but it only comes out once every 1,000 years. That's an unfalsifiable statement. There's no way that anybody is going to be alive 1,000 years from now that can verify my statement.
Or you could say that when the genie comes out, only I can see, hear, or touch it.
Right. One of those statements, any one of those statements is unfalsifiable.
Yeah. I see. I don't take analogies like that and just kind of correlate to ufology. Just to me, it doesn't fit.
Why don't you correlate into ufology? Like, just because it's not about UFOs doesn't mean that the principle behind it is wrong. Like, if you take, I don't know, if you take, for example, gravity, right? Throwing apples and dropping apples to the ground. Okay, that is gravity. That works with apples, and then it works also with cups. Cups may break and stuff, but it works. So we take an idea, a principle that is efficient, and we say, okay, now listen, this will work also for UFOs. And you're like, yeah, but it's not directly UFOs, therefore don't accept it. I think you're intellectually dishonest either, or you're just a huge troll. I cannot tell. But either way, you're stubborn about something that you believe just because you want to believe it. And there's no reason to believe any of it.
I believe it because I saw it. It's as simple as that. And there are thousands.
See, but
we
don't question you for believing that you saw a thing. We question how you get to B and C and D
I'm
and
a Catholic,
all.
so I have some faith in things. So I still believe.
So basically, what you're
religion.
saying is, hey, I'm a Catholic, therefore I put stuff into my whatever I saw. I'm flavoring my belief.
It's not like I'm saying what I saw was Jesus or it's an angel. I don't know.
Ever
I saw was a creepy.
It's not like far off, though.
You ever heard of breatharians?
What?
Breatharians. They're actually a thing. They are people who believe that all you need to sustain a human body is air.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, yeah. They've got faith. There's, they're basically.
Well, you can disprove that.
Yeah, why they're dying?
Pretty easily.
They don't believe they are.
Yeah, they literally starved to death.
Yeah, wasn't there a case in the UK where some female breatharian started some little cult and some woman died as a result, and I think they managed to sue the woman?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
From beyond the grave.
There's like a UFO cult called Raelians or something like that, or Raelians.
Yeah,
I think it's from
Raelians,
France. And they want to believe it's extraterrestrial. I'm not saying it's extraterrestrial.
Yeah, but why would they be wrong? I mean, the same way you can believe it's like something demonic and stuff. Yeah, but you say they're not biological. You cannot prove that. You cannot disprove that. If I cannot disprove what you saw, okay, and that it's all this kind of ghostly, woo-woo, whatever, I cannot disprove you. So I should take you or what you say for granted. Now, they say it's aliens. I cannot disprove them. Why shouldn't I take them for granted?
That's the thing. If you're going to look into something, you've got to take.
No, answer, Seekie, answer. I want to know. Why should I take you for granted but not them?
Okay, they're saying it's ETs. That incorporates a lot of things, meaning either are you implying it's biological? Are you implying they have to eat shit and all that stuff? Okay, because there's so many factors once you put that association, that agent on it. But what I'm saying is supernatural does not require that. Supernatural is all about this essence of this immaterial of a cause that has a material effect.
Yeah, but immaterial is a claim. You claim it's immaterial. You do not have evidence for it being immaterial.
I have, okay, no, not me, but there is video evidence showing that these orbs expand into existence. I don't know how.
How do you know that what you saw is the same thing that you found on YouTube?
That's actually quite.
It was an orb. It was a UFO claim, and people said that it seemed to have like intelligent behavior.
Look at the footage from the Hubble Space Telescope, you know what's really just mind-blowing? No matter how far back in the past you look, they're all orbs.
Yeah, but they don't have much of a behavior.
But they're not all the same thing, are they?
Nope.
Some are stars, some are galaxies, some are planets.
See, when you compare things like analogies like that, it just doesn't fit to something really objective like UFOs.
I asked you, how do you know that what you saw is the same thing that's being shown in all the videos on YouTube?
It's not the same thing. Context is totally different. You can't compare that. It's not even. It's just you can't compare it.
How
you're
do
talking
you
about something
know
that's
that what you
in
saw?
the atmosphere, in the earth, like
guys,
on Earth?
Guys,
reach an impasse.
Everyone, breathe in and out. Chill out, everyone.
If you keep talking, I can chill out.
Good. Okay, so now I cannot go on too much longer because I have my throat killing me. So let's very shortly, very quickly, because this discussion could go on forever. We have this discussion will go on forever if we let it go on forever. I don't think we will get any further. I think we have everyone has made their points more or less, unless there is something you still want to add. And I think we just leave this up here. Seekie, once in a while, check it up, listen to what we say, and listen properly to it, and find out whether or not what we say makes somehow more sense to you or not.
You guys, you make a lot of logical.
Hey! I wasn't done. I was not done, mister.
Sorry.
I have heard how you think, and that was the thing that was important to me, because how you think is so much more important than what you think to me. So my goal is met. If you guys want to invite Seekie, I'll leave his Twitter in the description below. I think I put everyone from this hangout in the description below, except of myself. So go, tweet at him, check him out. I think you like a bit of attention anyway, right, Seekie? But I have to finish.
I talk about politics too, a little bit.
Okay, so anything that you still want to add, everyone?
No, I'm good.
No.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. You guys do make me think, but
that's all that we're trying to do is get you to
philosophy and all that. But I'm very visual. Okay, so when something physically appears, I'm just not going to deny it. I'm going to fit to
my advice would be you see something, try and look for the most mundane and logical answer you can find before you.
Yeah, I can't find any. That's the problem. I'm running out of options.
Maybe somebody else could. You never know.
Have you considered the possibility that you imagined it?
No, it's not imagined. Because my name, actually, there's not a whole case to this.
Okay, guys.
Okay, never mind.
We have to stop, guys. Okay, everyone, goodbye. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
No, I really
everyone.
have to go. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
It was nice to have you all on.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isis.